It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that the GOAT of YouTube movie reviewers, Jeremy Jahns, actually second-guessed himself before releasing his most recent video. And to me, that says a lot about the current toxic climate of film discussion and society as a whole. The fact that someone with 1.97 million subscribers that he obtained through giving honest movie reviews thought twice about reviewing a movie because of how it may be perceived is ridiculous to me. But as he said at the beginning of his video, the fact that these thoughts crept into his head basically confirmed to him that this movie needed to be talked about. And that, my friends, is what a mature, unbiased movie critic is supposed to do. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but Jeremy Jahns is without a doubt one of my biggest YouTube influences, and I will not tolerate slander directed towards him. You see, whether I agree with his opinions or not in each and every video is irrelevant. What's more important to me is that he comes off as genuine and authentic in his videos, and that is something that I've tried to replicate in my own YouTube journey. As a movie reviewer, that is what you should strive to be. And that doesn't involve allowing your one-sided ideology to cloud your judgment and impact the way you talk about and consume media. In fact, I personally have a whole series of videos dedicated to just that. I think the account Hail the Lore on Twitter said it best. One of the only honest movie reviewers on YouTube, he reviewed this, and I still don't know his political views, and that's how it should be done.
Damn right, that's the only way I work, Cap.
Here's the truth of the matter. If I watch a movie review, or if someone watches one of my movie reviews, the goal of that video should be to deliver criticism from a somewhat neutral position. And sometimes that involves blocking out the noise in society and the noise in your own head. When reviewing anything, even if that piece of media is clearly politically driven, you should be able to approach it without bias in a perfect situation. And to me, that is exactly what Jeremy Jahns did when he reviewed Am I Racist? For those that don't know, Am I Racist is a satirical comedy documentary from conservative podcaster Matt Walsh. And I only know that because I watched Jeremy's video and afterwards I Googled the project, so that is the extent of my knowledge on the subject. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you know what this movie is actually about or if you know who Matt Walsh is or not. The point is that Jeremy Jahns very much approached watching this movie as an outsider looking in. That's how most people approach watching movies unless you are a politically obsessed nutjob.
That's racist.
It's very reminiscent to how I and many other people approached watching Sound of Freedom last year. Most people didn't care who made the film or what connections the movie may have had to certain groups. Most people approached it as if it was an important movie about a serious subject that is quite literally bringing awareness to a very real problem that happens in the world every day. But even still, if you were one of the unfortunate souls who praised this movie, you were met with the typical divisive labels because that's exactly how people think now.
You're pathetically predictable.
Which brings me to one of the most important things that Jeremy said in his review of Am I Racist? That being that most regular people don't think like that, meaning they don't live their everyday lives obsessing over things like race. That way of thinking is very much a social media inspired concept. And according to Jeremy, it just so happens to be the general premise of this movie. Now, is this movie something that I see myself taking time out of my day to watch? Probably not. Because if I'm being honest, it doesn't really interest me all that much, and I'm kind of burnt out on subjects like that. But I do think that it's cool that a big channel like Jeremy Jahns felt like it was important enough for him to talk about, and he had the balls to go through with it, and in my eyes he can talk about whatever he wants, free of judgment. Well, not completely free of judgment, of course, because predictably, There were some people who took issue with him reviewing this film and even giving it a positive score. Like Ed E on X, who said Jeremy Jahns gave a positive review to Matt Walsh's Am I Racist? And I immediately unsubscribed. I was a Jeremy Jahns sub for over 12 years, but not anymore. He has disappointed me, even more so than his biased Star Wars reviews since The Last Jedi. Jeremy can f*** off.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Well, Ed, in this situation, I think I'm going to speak for Jeremy as a fellow YouTuber, and say that if you are so insecure that you feel the need to unsubscribe from everyone who says something that you don't agree with, then that person probably doesn't want your kind of support anyway. YouTube is a harder job than some people realize. YouTubers do not need conditional support, especially YouTubers that you felt were good enough to support for 12 years straight. This person is literally acting like Jeremy reviewing a movie honestly is the equivalent of him walking into his house and punching his mother in the face. I assure you, it's not that serious and you'll be okay. He disappointed you? I think you should get used to disappointment if you plan on spending any time on the internet where you might hear some different perspectives. Oh, and Jeremy Jahns' Star Wars reviews were not biased. They were honest. Everything in Star Wars since The Last Jedi has sucked, according to a lot of people, and those people are entitled to that opinion. Then we have Leo Gavitz, who says, Jeremy Jahns being a Nazi was not on my 2024 bingo card. And this type of comment forces me to ask the question once again, how exactly did we get here? I know that the online culture wars have rotted a lot of people's brains over the past several years. But comparing a guy reviewing a movie to that seems a bit extreme, no?
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
And this is the biggest problem with modern day film discussion. People are so quick to judge you and your character somehow based on your film opinions. And there's no real basis for what they say about you or what they decide to call you. They just kind of say things because it's the only way they can cope when they hear something that they don't agree with. They label people as a way of dismissing their opinion. Period. I know that's exactly what's going on here because I deal with the same exact thing on a daily basis. It's exhausting. Bottom line, all this really showed me is that absolutely no one is safe from this ridiculous bullshit. And I think that's why it's important to do what Jeremy Jahns did in this situation, stay the course, and continue to be yourself. And do not listen to the people online who have way too much time on their hands and tend to overthink things. I think we need more movie reviewers like Jeremy Jahns in this space, and that is precisely why I started my own channel in the first place. So kudos to him for ignoring the noise and doing exactly what an honest film critic should do.
Y'all be cool. Right on.